Chapter 5, Whispers and Shadows Part 2, Flames in the Darkness. The following morning found us making our way through the Silk District, a part of Quandaria I rarely had cause to visit. Unlike the gritty, rough and tumble areas I usually frequented, this district was all elegance and refinement. Exquisite tapestries hung from balconies, and the air was heavy with exotic perfumes. "Remind me again why we're here in broad daylight," I muttered, feeling conspicuously out of place in my worn coat. Lyria's eyes scanned the crowded street, ever vigilant. The fragment's movements were most consistent during daylight hours, and sometimes the best place to hide is in plain sight. Grimlock nodded, his beard neatly combed for once. "Aye, and all these fancy folk are too busy looking down their noses to notice a few more strangers in their midst." We turned a corner onto a less crowded street, lined with high-end boutiques and exclusive clubs. That's when I saw it, a flash of golden armor, quickly ducking out of sight. "Heads up," I whispered to my companions. "Looks like we're not the only ones on the hunt today." Lyria's posture stiffened. The guardians of the eternal flame. They must have traced the fragment here as well. "Great," Grimlock grumbled. "Just what we needed. More self-righteous do-gooders mucking things up." I raised an eyebrow at the dwarf. "And what does that make us exactly?" Before he could retort, a commotion erupted further down the street. A figure in flowing robes burst out of a shop, clutching something to their chest. Hot on their heels was a guardian, resplendent in gleaming armor, sword drawn. "Stop, thief!" The guardian's voice boomed, magically amplified to echo off the buildings. "Return the sacred artifact at once." The robed figure darted down an alley, the guardian in close pursuit. The street erupted into chaos, with bystanders scattering in all directions. "10 gold says that's our fragment," I said, already moving towards the alley. Lyria and Grimlock were right behind me as we plunged into the narrow passage. We emerged into a small courtyard just in time to see the robed figure cornered by the guardian. "Nowhere left to run," the guardian declared, raising their sword. "Hand over the key fragment, and your punishment may be lessened." The thief's hood fell back, revealing a young elf with wide, frightened eyes. "Please," they pleaded. "You don't understand. I had no choice." I stepped forward, hands raised in a placating gesture. "Now let's all take a breath here. I'm sure we can resolve this without any unnecessary violence." The guardian whirled to face us, their helmet obscuring their features. "Stay back, civilians. This is guardian business." Lyria moved to stand beside me, her voice calm but authoritative. "We are not mere civilians, Guardian. We too seek the key of eternity, but for its protection, not its destruction." The Guardian's posture shifted, surprise evident even through the armor. "The fabled guardians of the seal? We thought your order long extinct." "Not extinct," Lyria replied. "Merely diminished." As they conversed, I noticed the young elf inching towards a half-hidden door. With a subtle nod to Grimlock, we moved to cut off their escape route. "Now then," I said, addressing both the guardian and the thief, "why don't we all lay our cards on the table? It seems we're all after the same thing, for various reasons. Maybe if we understood each other's motivations, we could find a solution that doesn't end in bloodshed or city-wide destruction." The guardian hesitated, then slowly lowered their sword. "You speak wisely, stranger. Very well, let us parley." The young elf, seeing no way out, slumped in defeat. "I'll tell you everything, but please, you have to promise to help my family." As we gathered in the courtyard, I couldn't help but marvel at the twists and turns of fate. The key of eternity had brought us all together, each with our own goals and fears. But as I looked at the faces around me, I realized that perhaps the true power of the key wasn't in its magic at all. Perhaps its real power lay in its ability to unite the most unlikely of allies in the face of a common threat. As the young elf began their tale, I settled in to listen, knowing that whatever we learned here could change the course of our quest.